All right, thank you, Anton. My name is Garrett Mears. I'm an interim CTO for startups and scale-ups. My background is in software engineering. I've been in the London tech scene for the last 19 years, coming over from the US. I've served as the CTO for 6 different startups. And since I left my last permanent CTO role, I've also done a lot of technical due diligence and technical assessments and completed over 100 of those for various VC and private equity firms.
Thank you very much, Garrett. We'll now go on to Bhairav. Thank you very much for joining us, Bhairav. And Bhairav, if you wouldn't mind turning your camera off so we can keep it audio only, that would be great. Perfect. Thank you, buddy.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, so very similar to Garrett. So I am the managing director of Atom CTO. We're a team of fractional CTOs that work primarily with non-technical, technical founders, investors, and small business owners. So we work with small business owners to kind of help them remove the blocks to scaling, provide them with IT strategies. With the early stage founders, we help them build product roadmaps and then execute those roadmaps. So we have our own internal development as well as a number of partners that we work with to deliver projects. So my background is I started off in consulting, then became the CTO for a number of different companies across the world, raised some money with a fair few startups and scale-ups, and then set up Atom primarily to help small business, early stage founders, entrepreneurs, and small businesses make the correct decisions when it comes to tech and not spend too much, not suffer the same problems that everyone seems to suffer, which is paying too much, not getting what you want, and then it taking too long. So that's us in a nutshell.
Thank you very much for that, Bhairav. And by the way, Bhairav, am I pronouncing your name right? Is it Bhairav?
Yeah, that's right. That's fantastic.
Thank you very much, buddy. And now we go on to Mario. Right, I think what we might need to do is make Mario a presenter. Oh, yeah, you are a presenter. We can't hear you, Mario. Tell you what, let me mute you and then I'll unmute you just to, right, change. Okay, make presenter, change. Would you like to try it again, Mario? Or Mr. Tomic? No. Can the others hear Mario? Garrett?
No.
Bhairav? No. Mario?
No, I can't.
You'll need to leave the room and try again, please. I've just put a link in our LinkedIn chat. So if you exit this, try and enter through that. Righty. Oh. And okie dokie. All right. Well, whilst we wait for Mario to come back, I guess a quick reset of the room. We're only going to be here for the next 52 minutes. So for those of you that are tuning in via our live streams, whether that's LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, please be aware that unfortunately we are unable to monitor your questions live there. So you'd need to join us here on Microsoft Teams to do that. There's a couple of ways you can do it. One, by going to our website, startup-to-scaleup.club, and looking for today's session, which is Startup Product and Tech Q&A 148. You click join on that, and then it's a quick registration that will get you an email with a link where you can then join us via that link. Once you do that, then you'll be able to type your question in the chat. We'll then give you the floor and you can ask our panelists. On the other hand, like I said, you can either do it via that, via the link that we've put on the live streams, or by going to our website. As for today's question, we're here to help founders with product and tech. You see, unfortunately, over 90% of startups fail. And the top 3 reasons for that are 1, market fit, 2, running out of money, and 3, not having the right people. And there couldn't be anything more important about your ability to not only survive, but actually thrive than your ability to build that early stage product and tech. So there are no wrong questions and there's no need to be shy. It's a learning curve for us all. You can ask us anything to do with your product and tech, whether that's product roadmap, design, prototype, automation, landing pages, apps, tech debt, launching your MVP, and anything else in between or beyond for that matter. So now 2 more quick introductions, and then we'll go on to some do's and don'ts, and then hopefully we can get a few nice questions in the remaining time. And by the way, unfortunately, time goes much faster than you'd think, so bear that in mind and don't leave it for last second. Mario, are you able to talk now?
Yes, I don't know if you can hear me though.
Yes, we can, buddy. Take it away.
Yeah, I apologize for this. It's always Linux and sound, always some drama. Okay, cool. My name is Mario Tomic. I'm coming from, I live in Spain, coming from Croatia. I work as a fractional CTO for a non-technical founders. I serve 2 types of customers. First is one that want to build their app, their new product. I help them with setting up the team, setting up the plan, making sure we deliver on budget and on time. I'm not an agency. I don't have my own developers. I don't have my own agencies that I work with. So I provide fully independent kind of perspective of development and leadership. For scale-ups, for companies that already have product market fit and are operated by non-technical founders, I help them with structuring the teams, with allowing them to grow, to expand their development team. Usually they hire me when they have problems with velocity, problems with delivering on time, problems with quality, with processes, and so on. Happy to be here.
Thank you very much, Mario. And last but not least, the lady of the house, Amrit, the floor is yours. Amrit, can you hear us? I have made you a presenter, but it feels like you might be on the same issue that Mario was, so Linux or something. Would you like to try and leave the room and then come back again? I have put a link in our chat on LinkedIn. And Mario, if you don't mind muting when you're not talking, please, buddy, because it creates an echo. That would be great. Perfect. Okay. Well, we'll wait for Amrit to come along. But in the meantime, let's hear from our panelists that are here. What are your biggest do's and don'ts when it comes to early stage product and tech? And by the way, a quick reminder, those of you, because I can see my phone flashing, those of you viewing this via the live streams, whether it's LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, please remember that we are unable to monitor your questions there. So you'd need to join us live here on Microsoft Teams. There's links for that on all those live streams, or you can simply go to our website, startup-scaleup.club. Look for today's session, which is Startup Product and Tech Q&A 148. So click join there, quick registration, and then you'll be able to come into this call. Right, actually, let's try Amrit again before we go to our do's and don'ts. Let's see, where's Amrit? Let me make you a presenter. Right. Can you hear us now, Amrit? Can you talk?
Hello.
Hi, at last. Go for it.
Hi, I'm Amrit Lote. I am a fractional CPO, or most recently moved into the fractional space. I've worked across government, fintech, health tech, ed tech, work in e-commerce, and also in legal tech. So I've been in the tech industry for about 25 years now, working with startups, scale-ups, and enterprises as well. So happy to answer any of your questions today.
Thank you very much for that, Amrit. Okay, let's start with some quick do's and don'ts. One each, please, team. So we'll start with Garrett, then Bhairav, then Mario, then Amrit. What is one do and one don't that is important to you, Garrett, when it comes to early stage building of product and tech? take it away. So Garrett, Bhairav, Mario, and Amrit, please, one each.
So the key thing I would say is focus on what you need now in order to get to the next stage. It's very tempting to look ahead and see what you might need down the road. A common mistake is wanting to hire a CTO when you're at very early stage, and you likely don't need a CTO. You probably need a developer who can build your MVP. But at the same time, you don't want to just focus on building your big long roadmap. What's the thing that you need right now to validate your assumptions, to get traction, whatever it is, to gain investment? Focus on what that is to get to that next stage.
Thanks for that, Garrett. Bhairav?
So following on for that, to kind of take that on from Garrett, is build it as little as possible, right? So don't be afraid to kind of string things together if you need to get the product up and running. You don't necessarily know where, a lot of people try to over engineer and try and build too much to begin with. Secret is to, as Garrett says, understand what you really need to do, build to get forward and move to the next stage. And where, don't be afraid of using manual steps if you need to, right? As you scale, you'll understand, well, as you launch, the market will tell you what they like and what they don't like. And as you scale, you'll understand better where your scaling pain points are. So try not to spend too much of your time, effort, and money on building the perfect app.
Okay, so a lot of good advice here. So overbuilding is a sin for early stage founders for sure. So I would say whatever you can buy, don't build. Whatever it's already there, use it. Don't build it from scratch. And build. Whatever you plan that you want to build, you should cut it down probably in half and build half of it, because whatever budget you have, whatever time you have, it's probably going to take more money, it's going to take more time. So prioritization, what's most important is probably critical, and probably difference between surviving this early stage phase or just dying without any traction.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, Amrit.
Yeah, so I would just say do your research, whether that's user, market, competitor, culture, depending on your target market. It's not a one-time activity, so it's something you have to continuously do throughout the journey of your startup. And don't be afraid to pivot. When you come up with an idea, everyone's very excited, and sometimes the data doesn't actually support what you think was going to happen in the market. And you need to make a decision to pivot. So don't be afraid to do that. Just make sure it's backed by that research.
Right, well, that's amazing. Some amazing stuff there. Thank you very much for that. Right here, we now have 41 minutes to go. We're here to help startups with whatever questions you may have on your building journey, i.e. building your product and tech, whether you want to know perhaps how to get your product roadmap, your design, your prototype, your app, your landing page, or maybe how to test or launch your MVP, or anything else in between or beyond for that matter. This is the place to be. There are no wrong questions and there's no need to be shy. It's a learning curve for us all. Unfortunately, for those of you that are on our live streams right now, whether that's LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook and Instagram, we are unable to monitor your questions. So you would need to join us live here in Microsoft Teams. Is audio only, and you can do that by either clicking on the links that I've put on those live streams, or simply going to our website, startup2scaleup.club, where you can find today's session, which is Startup Product and Tech Q&A 148. You click join on that. It's a quick registration, and then you get an email with a link to that, basically to your address, where you can join us via that link. If your questions, however, are not on product and tech, please save them for the other events we run. Mondays it's talent, Tuesdays product and tech, Wednesdays growth, Thursdays fundraising, second Friday of the month it's legal, and third Friday of the month it's finances. That all from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time, and you can RSVP to any of them via our site, startup to scaleup.club. And actually, when you're there, you might want to join our WhatsApp community, which is made of founders, investors, and operators. We'll now go on to some questions that have been sent in. And for the others that are here already, you can type your question in the chat, and then we will give you the mic so you can ask the panel. So this is from a beauty tech founder based in London. They're at seed stage. Used to work in operations for other beauty companies. Problem, building a personalized skincare subscription service that uses AI to analyze skin types and recommend products. We're finding that users are hesitant to trust AI recommendations when it comes to their skincare routine, especially for people that have some kind of sensitive skin type. Many feel that the product recommendations are too generic despite our detailed questionnaires. How can we improve the AI's recommendation process to feel more personalized, and how do we communicate that accuracy and reliability of these algorithms to build trust with users who prefer human expertise? Geez, that's a question and a half. How about this? We'll start with Mario, then we move on to Garrett, then Amrit, and last but not least, Bairat, please.
Okay, so this is one of many, or looks like one of many companies recently that are basically just tiny shells over OpenAI or some other LLM APIs, right? So and obviously when you just send some random prompt to ChatGPT, it will give you some like very basic answer, right? So the answer to this, if they want to provide something more to be able to add value on top of just being a kind of ChatGPT prompt, they need to have their own data, which means in this case their own some mapping between, okay, for this question, this would be a skincare routine that's most appropriate, right? So without data, they can just play with the prompt, and that's pretty much it. I mean, it can go quite far even that way, but like value add will be low, right? Because it's still at the end is just a tiny layer on top of ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever. So if they want to provide more better answers, better knowledge, they need to have their own data. And when they have their own data, and that means at least on the level of thousands of unique pieces of data, then there's technology, there's approaches which are quite known and quite common about how to integrate this data with the LLM models, and then they can have some sort of, let's call it, secret sauce that cannot be easily replicated by anyone else.
Yeah, I think that's some good advice from Mario on the implementation side of things. I want to take a step back in terms of AI in general, because I think that there are two different ways to really leverage AI. One is to do something that humans can't really do very well, and the other is to try and match what humans can do very well. And it sounds like in this case, the focus is the latter. And interestingly enough, there is a study that shows that AI in terms of marketing isn't really compelling. Users don't really care about the AI itself. That's an implementation detail. So my challenge would be, what would good look like if you were not using AI, if you had personalized recommendations that your users are happy with? And then that sets the bar of what you're trying to achieve. And then technical challenge becomes, how do you improve your AI implementation in order to match that bar? And really, it's not the AI itself. It's the quality of the recommendations that is what users care about. And I think if the quality is high, then the trust of the AI recommendations becomes less of an issue. And it may be worth not promoting that, the AI the recommendations are AI generated, particularly if you're not quite there on the quality. So that would be my input on that.
Thank you for that. Amrit, I'm sorry. Amrit?
That's okay. Yeah, I think the guys have made some really good points already. I mean, from my experience, my foundation that I wear is actually via an AI questionnaire, and it basically made me go through a questionnaire, answer these questions, and then it recommended the foundation that was best for my skin. But the reason why I tried it was because they had a money back guarantee, or I could return the product if it wasn't right for me, and they would then tweak it or suggest a different color or shade, for example. So that made me then go and purchase that product, because I knew that if it didn't work, I could always return it. I'm not going to lose any money. Now, I don't know if they are actually selling their own products or just recommending products that are already out in the market. So it might be slightly different in this case, but I would say that you probably need to start getting feedback from those users. I don't know if it's just a simple yes or no, this didn't work for me. So start training the model up, get that feedback, get that data, and start making those models better. So that it starts to recommend better, and then it starts to build more trust. But yeah, that's my 2 pence there.
Yeah, and for me, I think everything's been said. I mean, as Amrit mentioned, people buy from people, right? So if you want to build up more credibility, then what better way of doing that is than getting feedback from the people who have actually used your platform and have gotten good results. That's it for me.
That is very good from all four of you, and I really appreciate your inputs. We have a few questions. Tell you what, let's go to Adrian. Let me give you the mic, Adrian, and then we'll go on to some more questions sent in. Where is Adrian? Adrian is here. Hello, Mike. Are you able to talk now, Adrian?
Hi. Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please introduce yourself.
Okay,
and then fire away with your question, buddy.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Adrian Huller. I'm a product manager. I'm based in London. I have more than 10 years of product management experience. And my question is, what is the best approach for building an MVP as a non-technical founder? Is that vibe coding? Is that using no-code tools? What would you recommend?
I hear you. Thank you very much for that. And just before I pass it on to my experts, Adrian, do you have anything specific in mind?
I'm thinking of a product idea within the health space to basically help people make better decisions when it comes to buying supplements. So, and that's from my personal experience, because there are lots of them, and there is a lot of confusing and information about them. So I'm thinking of
what is the plan?
Pardon?
What is the plan here? Are you going to use like a ChatGPT API, or
I don't know.
do you think? Okay,
yes.
So okay,
which is why I'm asking that. Okay.
And would you have money to build this by yourself, or at least build to a certain stage, or would you need to raise money?
For the MVP, yes, depending on the approach, which is why I'm asking the question.
I hear. Yeah, that makes sense. Personally,
thank you.
Thank you very much. That's a very good question. We get this question way too often because it is very real and it's something that happens all the time. I tell you what, without, I'm not even going to give you my experience on this, but we'll go quickly to our panelists. Panelists, please keep it to a minute or less each. We will start with Amrit by Rav, and then Garrett and Mario, please. 1 minute or less each. Amrit, your minute of glory starts now.
Okay, so I always start with the research side. So although you said you've experienced this issue yourself, how many other people actually have this problem? Because you don't want to end up having to work on an MVP and build something when actually you don't even know the size of the problem yet, or if people are actually willing to either pay for your product or use your product. So do as much market research as you can, some user research, find out who your competitors are in this space already, what's unique about what you are offering first. So really start to understand the problem you're trying to solve, and then work on, okay, what does that solution look like? Can I just, put up a landing page and just see how many people are interested in this initially, to join a wait list maybe, and just a few features that you're going to be adding to your product. You can also, there are tools out there also that you can use, which are pretty cheap and easy to use to kind of put something up quite quickly, whether it's a website you're building, whether it's an app you're building. So recently I used Lovable. There is a free version of that, obviously limited prompts, but then they have a tiered model based on what you're trying to do. That worked quite nicely for me because I needed to build a quick prototype to start testing with users to see if actually this works and the functionality is correct. But there are plenty of other ways to do this. I know I'm probably going over a minute, so I'm going to pass this on to the other guys.
Thank you very much, Amrit. Bhairav?
Yeah, so the first thing I say is we have our kind of very standard methodology when we're helping people in your instance, and what I tend to say is an app is not a business, right? So once you've gone through with Amrit, and as Amrit says, and got your validation and it's there, you need to start thinking about, okay, what do the users want, how are they going to experience it, and what value you're bringing to them, right? So I would personally start off with some sort of wireframing, some prototype clickable walkthrough that you can then present to people and iterate with them as to what the solution should be, what value you can bring to them, and what are their problems and pain points, and how you're addressing it through the platform. And then once you start thinking about building, and if you found something minimum that you build, there's lots of different ways of doing it, right? You've got the low code, no code, Lovable, but it all depends on the three things that you have as a founder, which are time, resources, and energy. And so if you have the energy to spend and using Lovable or another low code, no code too, go for it. If you don't, and you've got some money and you want to hire somebody, then yes. And again, depending on the complexity, it could be a low code, no code, or it could be a feature build. And then the other thing that I'd say is don't forget that, as I said, app is not a business. You need to figure out how you're supporting your business as part of all of this, right? It's not just about what's front facing. Think of internal IT, the other stakeholders that are involved in the business. So that's it for me.
Yeah, some great input there from some great input there from Emrit and Bhairav. Yeah, it sounds like you're looking for a technical answer, Vibe, Cursor, Replit, Lovable, any of these AI tools that are out here. So I think my answer might be disappointing in that I would say focus on what it is that you need to validate rather than what you need to build, and then use whatever you can to achieve that goal. I think one of the great things about the AI tools that are available now is that they're very easy to try, and you can just give it a go and see what works for you. And if it is, you can quickly find that out. There's not a steep learning curve, and you can build MVPs very quickly with some of these, but they won't be. It's unlikely that they will be the build that you will want going forward. But if you focus on what it is that you need to validate and use it in order to perform that validation, then you can do a lot with them, and just try it out and see what works for you.
Okay, Adrian. So, but I didn't really get it. So, what are you trying to do? Could you please just quickly repeat?
Well, I need to understand what's the best way to create an MVP. So assuming that, say, I'm doing the research, I'm past that stage, and I just want to do a proper
Right, but
testing
it's not.
with the proper. Yeah.
It's not the same thing if you're building, self-driving car and or you're building a blog, right? So there's like different approaches to MVP. If you so just like about your product, is it software product or is like e-commerce product? Well, what is it? What are you selling really?
100% software product. Let's assume it's going to be an e-commerce product.
Right, because if it's gonna be e-commerce product, then you have e-commerce solutions out there, right? So you don't need to build nothing, right? You can have Shopify, you have WooCommerce, you have a lot of those things, right? So would that solve like are you selling? So you say it's e-commerce product, but
Because
it's software product.
the idea is not fully polished yet. So I'm just thinking about how to quickly move the project forward. And
Right, but what are you selling again? Like what is your if let's say I'm a user of your product and I want to spend money on it, what I'm getting? Like what are you charging me for?
Yeah, you get product recommendations.
So I'm getting information then.
Yes, the information and obviously products to buy.
So physical product plus information.
So you'll get a personalized recommendation.
Okay.
And then you can buy the product. So in a nutshell, that's what I have in mind at the moment.
Okay. So let me just try to kind of freestyle here. So let's say you're gonna ask me some questions. I'm gonna tell you something about me, A, B, C, D, and then based on that, you're gonna tell me, okay, this is what I think you should buy, right?
Yes.
Okay. So if that's the case, you don't need to build nothing, right? Because solutions for all of that exist. Maybe you need to combine a couple of products out there. Maybe like is it going to be I don't know, like some sort of chatbot interface or like email interface where you can use to deliver recommendation, and then e-commerce solution that's also already there, where you can say, okay, um, after you have recommendation, you can push a link to the customer to buy a product. You have checkout, you have payment, all of that, right? So I would say like for really MVP, you don't need to build nothing, right?
So
you just need to validate.
Or what exactly I can use.
Let's say you build on Webflow, you go and build a question kind of intake page where like, okay, you send me this, I set up a questionnaire, you can use Typeform or whatever. I tell you everything about me. Then when I go through Typeform and answer all the questions, then you send me recommendation, and in that recommendation email, there's a link to checkout page where it can be on Shopify, it can be like on many other
or even WhatsApp nowadays.
Right, yeah. And then I buy it, right? And then obviously it's going to be very clunky, and it's going to be like 100% streamlined and all of that, but it will kind of prove a point what people are willing, because you don't have problem with technology, you have problem of traction, right? That's what people don't get it. Like right now, nobody has technology problem. Everyone has a audience problem, and you just skip technology problem and just go straight to the audience problem, and see if you can convert anyone.
I'm not sure I agree with that, actually. From my own experience, I know that sometimes people get into, say, the wrong solution, and the technology problem do exist. So even today. So I'm sorry, but I don't agree with that.
It's fine, but like they do exist for if you want to launch rocket to Mars, or you want to, right? So they definitely exist. But if you just want to sell the product with recommendation, and you don't even know if anyone will buy it, you don't know. Like you still need to prove that, right?
Yes.
Over investing in technology is just kind of premature, right? So you need to sell one recommendation first.
Exactly.
And using whatever it's already on the market, and there's like plenty of solutions.
Exactly. Yeah.
Already
So
in the market.
if you can tell me the solution. So you mentioned Shopify. and something else. But so I need to know what platform would be, for instance, a good starting point.
Well, depending on the interface, I would say, how you're gonna capture intake. So for that, it could be, for example, Typeform, right?
Okay.
So how are you gonna deliver recommendation? Is it gonna be email? It can be, I don't know, MailChimp or whatever, right? And how are you gonna sell? How are you gonna sell actual product? It can be Gumroad, it can be Shopify, it can be something else. And you need, I don't know, like make.com to connect all those three together, and you can have product over a weekend, right? And then you come to the audience problem.
Got it.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The audience problem, it's the absolute crucial part here, Adrian. So this kind of product, literally, what I would do if I were you, if you really believe in it, I would start a TikTok channel, whatever you want to call it, where you start talking about that. You can, I don't know if you are able to do this yourself or not, but you can pay somebody a few £100 to build you a landing page online, and maybe even a Shopify store, and perhaps even a Amazon store. But for that, I think you need to do a bit of research how to do it, because the way Amazon is that it's not very good at letting people have a shop front for a almost kind of not a realistic product, basically, because this is to be tailored. So that's why you may encounter some difficulties. But personally, I would follow the Shopify line with a website as well, and then go on social media and find these people that will register and that will fill that form that you have, whether you choose Typeform or Google Sheets that is free, or some other free to paid whatever version. You can have MailChimp, I believe, lets you have up to 2,000 emails, Zoho, and a few others. Get some people to do this. Get a few hundred people that, or maybe 100 people that will actually pay you something for this, and then you know that this has legs and you can start building something. I'll give you a quick example. Today, a VC announced that they had just invested today, it's official, 250K in 2 students that set up a business that will help people with tenders with the help of AI. I have come across in the last year or two, only on these Q&As that we do, of at least 50 such companies. And I would be pretty sure that the majority of them, if not all of them, are inexistent today. And I'll be honest with you, these 2 students, although I don't know their ins and outs, I don't think they really have a moat. But guess what they have? They have at least 20 large clients that have already paid to use their service, and it's very much kind of doing stuff manually that eventually will become automatic. And they also have a very long list of people that have already signed up and said, we want to pay you money once this is ready. And they've done that without building anything but maybe an API. They're doing this with stuff that I can pay £200 for ChatGPT to do it for free, and probably even better. But their strength is in the numbers of people that they got. They did the research, they understand some of the pain points, and that's why they've just got a very good VC, which is not just about the money, but it's actually about the connections that VC is going to give them. I hope that makes sense, Adrian.
Yes, thank you. Do you happen to know what the unique selling point is? What exactly are they doing differently from the people that failed? Because you said there are lots of people that you suspect.
To be honest with you, I'm not sure of that. But one thing I do know is that they have people that have already paid and the others haven't. The others just built something, and I've done that before myself, unfortunately, where I've had a problem and I thought everybody else would have this problem, and I started building without actually getting enough people to sign up and validate this. But to my knowledge, I don't think they have a major USP. Now, again, I don't know their corporate secrets, obviously, but from what I can tell, they don't have a vantage point here.
So it's probably the marketing approach, right? The marketing strategy.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's why whenever we get people here that are reluctant to share their idea because they think whoever is on the call or somebody who will listen to the recording will steal that idea. That's why I always say to people, don't worry about that, because one thing I've learned is that the people that can steal your idea, they haven't got the time because they're already busy building things for themselves. And the people that have got the time, they haven't got the know-how. Otherwise, they would have done it with something else. So that's why it's in the execution, not the idea. The idea, they're cheap. Who cares about ideas? And yes, there may be sometimes trouble with the tech side of things, but actually the main problem is always, always, always market fit, my friends. And I'm going to let you go now, but would love to hear from you in the future sessions and see how you progress with this, Adrian.
Thank you very much, everyone.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much. Now, thank you. So we will now, okay, I'm a tech founder based in Sri Lanka. I'm developing an AI integrated MVP design to help LinkedIn users improve their performance, since tools like ChatGPT and other LLMs are already widely accessible for writing posts. How can I customize my platform to stand out and offer a unique value proposition specifically for LinkedIn users? I'm going to quickly answer this question. You need to work out yourself. There's something I call NWIDs. So N stands for need. Think of a problem that you're solving. Don't create a problem for your solution. Create a solution for a problem out there. W stands for want. Think who's going to want to solve that problem. How easy would it be for you to get to them and get them to pay? And how many of them will pay? I stands for innovation. What innovation are you bringing to the fore? D stands for disruption. Who are you going to disrupt out there? Literally, who are you going to steal clients from? And S stands for scalability. Is this scalable? Are you going to make enough money with this? Think of it this way. If you go and ask for $100,000 investment tomorrow, a decent investor who's worth their soul will ideally want to get 33 times that investment from you, because that is how much it costs, how much they need to get the return on their fund, roughly, right? Average. So if I gave you $100,000 today, will you be able with this business to give me 3.3 million plus on top of whatever you and your founding team can do? Can you do that? Then go for it. If you can't do that, then maybe start working on something else. And now we'll go on to a question that was sent in to us. I'll read it out loud. And by the way, for those of you that are sending messages via live streams, whether it's LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, please be aware that unfortunately we are unable to monitor your questions there. So you'll need to join us live here on Microsoft Teams. You can either go via the links that I've shared in those live streams, or you can go onto our site, startup-to-scaleup.club. Look for today's session, which is Startup Product and Tech Q&A 148. Click join, quick registration. That gets you a link to your email, and you can join us through that. We're only going to be here for the next 11 minutes, so I think we might have time only for one more question if you'd like to do that. Otherwise, hopefully you'll join us next time. We run 6 regular sessions: Monday's talent, Tuesday's product and tech, Wednesday's growth, Thursday's fundraising, second Friday of the month it's legal, third Friday of the month it's finances. They're all from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time, and you can RSVP to any of them via our site, startup-to-scaleup.club. And actually, when you're on our site, join our WhatsApp community as well. There's a WhatsApp icon at the top and bottom of our site. If you click there, we've got a few groups for founders, investors, and operators. Now, we'll read another question that was sent in to us. Okay, I'm a deep tech founder based in Oxford. We're at seed stage. I studied computer science and also worked for a few years. We're building a machine learning platform that aids in diagnosing rare disease. We want to ensure our platform provides accurate and timely diagnostics for healthcare professionals. Should we prioritize building a robust data set for training our models, or focus on developing partnerships with healthcare institutions for real world data? How do we address the challenges of ensuring clinical validation and user trust in our technology? Okay, let's start with Amrit. Then perhaps we can go to Garrett, then Bhairav, then Mario, please. Can you hear us, Amrit? You would need to unmute, Amrit, otherwise we can't hear you. If not, we can maybe go to Garrett. Hopefully, Amrit will be able to talk later. Garrett, Bhairav, and Mario, please.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, Anton. So the way that I read the question in terms of building a robust data set, it sounds like that would not be with real world data, that the way to get the real world data would be through partnerships with healthcare institutions. And if I'm reading that right, I struggle to see how you would be able to build an accurate model without real world data, or validate that model without real world data. So if I'm reading the question right, I think that pursuing partnerships with healthcare institutions, or whatever it is that you can do in order to get access to that data would be critical. Because as I'm sure you're well aware, that's the key to developing machine learning, is to have the data and the quality of data in order to build out that model. And in terms of the clinical validation, I mean, that's a key part of it in terms of how do you validate the model, and definitely need that clinical input. So you have that ground truth in order to to measure and compare the model to. I think once you're able to establish that, then you can work on user trust. But a big part of that is just going to be making sure that the model works first.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. Amrit, are you able to talk now? Bhairav?
Yeah, I mean, as Garrett says, I mean, I'm not entirely sure how you're going to be able to do this without the real world data and the broad. You need a broad set of data, right? And so you'll need to form partnerships with any institution that can provide you the information. And when it comes to addressing the clinical validation, I mean, if you're selling this into the NHS, have you done any research on to all the different things that you need to do to sell into different healthcare providers, right, and healthcare systems? Because you're going to need a clinical risk officer. You're going to need quite a lot of validation, not just through like user studies and case studies and actual clinical programs, clinical trials. You're going to have to do quite a lot to make sure it's robust and you're protecting data and you're there's no bias or anything like that within the model. So there's quite a lot to unpick here. I'm not quite sure we can do that in the time here.
Indeed, thank you very much for that, Bhairav. Who we got? We've got Mario. Mario?
Yeah, thanks, Anton. So, I mean, I work with a company in this. They did the heart CT scans or something like that, and their way into the market was a co-founder of the company was someone who was very connected with the domain field, and they managed to get the data that way, and then to train model based on it. So I think without footstep into the industry itself, it's going to be very hard, almost impossible to do anything here, because all those data are patient data, really, right? So there's like huge issue with privacy and all that. So nobody can just give you easily, okay, here, here's 1,000 of patient files so you can use to train your model, right? So I think getting some foot into the industry, building some connections there, some relationship, I think it's probably hard requirement for this type of projects.
Thank you very much for that. I think we've got Amrit back again. Let me see if I can make Amrit a presenter. Right. Can you hear us, Amrit? Amrit, can you hear us? I've just made you a presenter. You would need to unmute yourself in order to talk, I believe. Where is Amrit? Okay, Amrit is gone. Oh well, never mind. It's only 5 minutes away. So what we're going to do is another question. Let's try and keep it to a minute each if we can. Again, for some reason today we are flooded with health tech. So health tech founder based in Cambridge. They've raised. Have I asked this question before? I don't know. It sounds familiar. They raised a small Series A last week. It's an ex-doctor, and then goes on to say, we're developing a wearable device for early disease detection. Our product roadmap is focused on hardware updates, but we've been slow to integrate software features that users have requested. How do I balance hardware innovation with software development to maintain momentum? Let's have a minute each and no more, please, because we are 4 minutes away from closing. By Rav, Garrett, and Mario. Take it away, fellas.
Yeah, so I'm not entirely sure what we mean by balance, because obviously not knowing enough about the product, it's hard to say, how much of a play does software, how much an impact does software have on the hardware there. I mean, how you maintain a balance is really through resourcing, right? And priority setting. So I'm not entirely sure really. This is not a real tech answer here. This is more operational, trying to figure out, what's the priority of your business. Yeah.
Thank you, Baram. Garrett, what would you do here?
Yeah, again, it's hard to answer this within 1 minute, and I'd love to ask a lot of questions and unpick it. So I would encourage this person to reach out to me, because this is exactly the sort of thing that I really help companies with. But I would start by just giving a quick answer and say, if they're really separate, the hardware and software is really separate and can be developed in independent streams, then look at having separate teams with their own roadmaps that are looking to try and progress each of those. But again, as was said previously, it depends on kind of the balance and how much the software, the importance of that within the overall product.
Thank you, Garrett. Mario, with the information we have, what would you do?
Yeah. Okay. So I feel like they solved the hardware problem, right? Because if founder is happy how quickly they can iterate on hardware, then I'm very surprised to hear that on the software side, they're slower, or they're not happy with the progress, right? Because hardware is hardware. You need to actually ship physical device, or upgrade it, or deploy it, or flash the device, or whatever, right? So there's always kind of it's slower to iterate. So it's probably that they build better team on hardware side, and then maybe software team is kind of failing to pick up. So whatever is it, I would say to this founder that they probably solved harder part of the equation, and it shouldn't be that hard to make sure that software side is also picking up.
Okay, interesting. Well, here's a weird take. What if the problem is actually the hardware itself, because it wasn't built properly, and therefore is struggling to deal with the software you have? Right, we now have less than a minute to go. I think it's time we call it a day. Gentlemen, any quick parting words? Let's go in the same order you joined. Garrett, Bayrav, and Mario, please.
Quick parting words in less than 1 minute. Just thank you for having me on, Anton, and yeah, good luck.
Thank you, Bayrav.
Thanks again, Anton. One thing I'd say is that I met a founder the other day that built a great MVP on Lovable for 120 quid. You know, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to pay huge amounts for tech, but you just got to understand what you need to build. That's the thing.
Here, thank you very much. Last but not least, Mario, please.
Yes, exactly. So that the problem is finding audience, finding the good problem to solve. Technology will figure it out on its own, I guess, or if not on its own, with help that's readily available through LinkedIn, online, and so on. So luckily, for most of the startup, technology problem is already solved, or it's kind of easy, or we know how to solve it. But the audience problem, the market problem, those are harder one.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much to all three of you gentlemen. Of course, Amrit as well, who had trouble with connection, so she's not with us now. Huge thanks, of course, to all of you that tuned in. Those of you that did via the live streams, please make sure to join us interactively here on Microsoft Teams next time. It's audio only, which means you don't need to spend hours in front of the mirror to look good. And just reminding everybody that we run 6 regular sessions: Monday's talent, Tuesday's product and tech, Wednesday's growth, Thursday's fundraising, second Friday of the month UK startup law, and third Friday of the month UK startup finances. You can RSVP to any of them via our site, startup2scaleup.club. When you're there, you may also want to join our WhatsApp community. There's an icon top and bottom of the page where you can do that. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow for Startup Growth Q&A. We've got some brilliant growth experts where we'll take questions from you and hopefully help you build your business and grow it from 0 to hero. As far as my parting words are concerned, just remember, the startup journey can be both exciting but also quite challenging. So try to have some fun and be kind to yourself and others in the meantime. And have a great afternoon, and God bless you all. Bye-bye for now. Again, remember tomorrow, 12 o'clock, Startup Growth Q&A.